Guys, New Earth Kings, you are very welcome to the new episode of the podcast. This is the podcast where the entire aim, my aim, your aim, everybody individually, collectively coming together. Our entire aim is to spark off 1 million plus personal, local, and indeed many global revolutions here. This is the place where we don't hide behind the ego. We don't hide behind that part of our mind that sort of holds us down, has been conditioned by society to feel sort of inadequate in that. We burst through that. We unapologetically just go with that inner spiritual essence of unstoppability. And in that vibe, in that zone, I am so honored and privileged and so happy to invite on Jesus Raphael Moncada onto today's show. Jesus is like every guy that I'm inviting on, but like in his own unique story life, his hero's journey is the absolute essence of what I believe New Earth Kings is all about. It's just following that unstoppability. Jesus hails from Venezuela, has been living the last 14, 15 years in Italy. I won't tell you the whole story. Jesus will tell you the story of it, but it's just such an epic story of heroic spirit, unstoppability, in the face of like challenges that, to be honest, I have not experienced in my life. I've had my own experience with like just a unique package of challenges that Jesus has continually risen up to go beyond. Jesus is a chef, is a restaurant consultant. He has started his business Eatvolve.it, which is a wonderful super food delivery sort of healthy fast food. If you can have healthy fast food, it's like the absolute leading edge of evolution of where food is going on the planet. A wonderful business. Beyond that, he is starting an incredible career going forward as a relationship coach, and you will hear why him as a relationship coach you should be looking no further than Jesus Moncada if you want any guidance in relationship and indeed just a mental resilience point of view. Jesus Moncada, sir, you are very welcome onto today's podcast.
Hello, Mark. Thank you very much for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to have this special conversation with you. I'm really glad, and I want to thank you first of all. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to start having this chat, going deep into everything that you just said, sharing our experience and sharing everything that we can to help other people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to have you on and finally get this conversation going. Jesus, well, since the last time we've been chatting, and just to kick off a little bit about what you've been doing since we were chatting last. You've just jumped in on this incredible business in the Eatvolve. Could you just give us a little bit of a background? What is that? Like, what's the business about? What's the core essence? Why was that business the one for you?
Yeah, sure. Evolve is an idea that I have in mind for the last couple of years, where I'm a chef, as you said before. I became a nutritionist too, plant-based nutritionist. I wanted to put together the two things, like the cooking part and the nutrition value of the ingredients, and create a menu and a product that actually give people the right energy that they need to from the day to go through their day. Because usually I believe that what we eat is really important for ourselves, and for the choices that we make every day. So I wanted to create a product that actually could help people to become a better version of themselves. So I put together all these notion that I have, and finally I decide, after talking to you, actually, our last chat we have, I decided it was time to launch Evolve. We make this line of fast, healthy food, where we focus mainly on delivery. We want to take healthy food to everybody's table. We're opening our stores in Brescia, we're making a hybrid between a delivery restaurant and a store retail where you can come here, pick what you want, or you can ask for to take it home, or you can eat there if you want. Um, and it's going amazingly good. People is really giving us a good feedback. My dream is to become a leader in the market. To have a company not only in Italy but globally. Actually, no, it's not just a company; it's a mission. We want to, let's say, touch people's life and improve people's life through eating.
It's and I'm just loving that because normally normally you need to bring it out in guys, you know, what that long-term vision. You're just jumping in there. It's a global vision, and that's what New York Kings is about. And it's just like tapping in to that heart essence. It's just to go beyond our our local scene. Um,
Yeah, I want to create a movement. No, not just evolve. Have to be a movement. Make and help people evolve into the better self. I touch millions of people. So that's my dream from that part and from evolve.
Wonderful. Jesus, like I know for myself, and I know with different guys I'm linking in with, you know, the capacity to actually have a vision or a dream is one thing, but then to develop the capacity and the mindset to actually believe in yourself enough to go for it like you're doing, that's not something that just happens. Normally we have to go through quite a painful journey. The hero's journey is
Yeah.
as it has that underworld part where we go into the cave. I'd love if you'd like to just rewind back a few years ago and just jump in that story. You came from Venezuela, you've been working in Italy. Just give the guys a little bit of a taster to that background story. I know you went into business with a guy. Things were going quite well, and then
Oh yeah, sure, sure.
it all imploded. You just give a backstory there, so we sort of just start finding out and just the footsteps where you've been and how you have emerged to this embodiment of power now.
Yeah. Well, I first left Venezuela when I was pretty young. I was just 18, just a week after my birthday. I left Venezuela. I went to London to study cuisine, international cuisine, and I started working there as a chef. I had a good experience. Then I moved to Italy for love. I fell in love, so I moved to Italy. I have a really good time in my first years in Italy. Everything was really great. I have a really good impact in every area of my life. I was doing great, but I got lost. I got lost in my ego, I would like to say. I made the wrong choices. I ended up making business with the wrong person, the wrong moment. I'm making the wrong choices, and I end up not only not earning anything, losing everything, and not only that, but I lost my work permit to stay in Italy. And this is a short story, a long story, make short. After 8 years living here, I became an illegal immigrant, and I couldn't work. They reject a couple of applications I made after that. I was blocked. I didn't know what to do. After everything, I got on a point. I didn't want to tell anybody. You know, in those moments, you don't want to share with anybody. You think you're just scared of what people say to you. And I made my own prison, and I stayed there for two years, or almost 3 years, where I didn't tell even my family. I have all these problems. I didn't have the documents. I couldn't work. I was working here and there. doing small jobs just to survive. None of my friends knew anything. I was totally blocked on myself. Um, after 3 years in this torture, I, I provoked to myself. I met a fantastic girl. She was pretty much the only person that knew about this. We had a baby. We have a beautiful baby. I was in my 30s, and I decided it was time. Obviously, it was about. I decided it was time to change everything. I need to do something, and I need to start taking responsibility for my actions. After my 30s, and after my child was born, I decided it was time to change. Before, it was even so significant. Let's say in Italy, everybody called me Raphael because nobody here is called Jesus, and they don't know how to pronounce it. So since I arrived here, nobody ever called me Jesus, and I just never argue about that. So everybody started calling me Raphael. But I decided it was time for everybody to call me Jesus because that was my first name. I changed my name. Let's say I put my name first, and I just started a learning path where I start studying, reading, and I knew it was the way to get out of this problem. I still didn't know how. I still didn't know where it was going to take me, but I just started reading, listening to videos, audios of Tony Robbins, and all the coaching.
If I remember well, it was Tony Robbins' documentary film on Netflix that was one of the major catalysts, at least in the beginning when you saw that film.
Yeah, that was I was really like watching every documentary about it. I found this documentary about Tony Robbins, and it really gave me like the energy and the motivation that I needed. I heard this guy saying that everything in life happened for us to learn, to grow, and not to us, and that we have to take full responsibility of our life. And I said, okay, I mean, he feels right what he's saying, and I just gonna trust him. So I say, if everything happened for me, then I'm gonna take advantage of this situation. I use this situation and everything that happened, not as something bad, not as a bad experience, but as a tools that I can use now to create the future that I want and I have always dream of. So I took the decision, and it really changed my life. It didn't change instantly, but it did change my life.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
such a core concept, and I know I started reading about stuff like that. You know, similar type concepts. You know, just as it's happening for you, and at some point, I know my mind sort of rebelled against that. It's like fucking bullshit. Like
Yeah, yeah, no.
my life at that point is like, and I remember how my mind, my ego, could sort of in the beginning sort of go, it's okay for Tony, it's okay for Wayne Dyer, it's okay for that dude. He doesn't know my shit heap situation, but there's this part of us that sort of it just triggers this part of us to go with. Did you experience
Yeah, and
much kickback about what these guys were saying in the beginning?
I think you have to be open, obviously, to listen and to accept this, because I think I might have heard these phrases many times before, and I never really paid attention. I never really wanted to consider this as a truth because I didn't want to take responsibility. Accepting that everything that happened in life is happening for me means that I have to take responsibility too for everything that happened, and have the ability to respond to every situation and not just let the situation push me and take me whatever it will take me, but actually be me the one that take the responsibility. And I believe, as Tony said, that our lives is decided and it's decided by one force, and it's decision. And it's the decision. We have this superpower that's called decision, and that we can decide the life that we want. We can decide how we want things to be. We can decide how to react, especially to every situation. So I make the decision that I wasn't going to let everybody else or life or situations decide how my life was going to be. That's what I was going to decide myself, how every aspect of my life was going to be from there on. And that was it. So I decided that I needed to change myself. I have to become, even if it's hard to say, or your mind doesn't want to, you have to become a new person. I have to thank the person I was until that moment, and accept that from every day I have to try to become a better person, a better version of myself. And that is pretty much what I've been doing since then. And it's been an incredible road, path, let's say. Obviously, if you want, I can go on with the rest of the story. Or
I'd love. No, I tell you, part of the journey that is so fascinating for me personally. But what I really would love you to just feel free to what I'd love to draw out from you is your relationship and how it evolved with Victoria. And obviously you had your son Victor, and just like, because you had that experience where you were sort of turning the corner, things were going, like you met Victoria, and that love just blossomed in the middle of such an intensely difficult period. But it's the next chapter and what that unfolded. You ended up, if I remember well, going back to Venezuela, trying to create a future there.
Yeah,
so just play it on from there. And like the importance of this, Jesus, and like for me, one of the central things that you embody is, for New Earth Kings, I think so many guys, we resonate with the business story. We resonate with the guy who was down and out and he got his shit together, the mentality, he got happy, he started making money, he got his body in shape. And what I think is such a powerful thing is to the embodiment of that king with his queen, and what the king is willing to do for the sake of love. It's the manly films, and in society it has been so long sort of lauded that it's the man going to war, it's the man, the man in the sports field, it's the man like beating guys up, it's the man that's, it's all this outward power, but it's just that power of love. Because when we slow down, I think every guy knows that when we slow down, having that special person that's there in the bed beside you, that you're cuddling in, making love, your family time, that is sacred. So if you could just draw on that story, that transition of what was happening in Italy, moving to Venezuela, and how that story unfolded from there. There's so many powerful lessons I think we'll all learn from your story.
Well, yeah, after, let's say, I adopt this mindset from everything that I have read from Tony Robbins, from Ding or Chelsea, and I accept that our life was defined by one force, that was decision. I decided that it was time for me to be vulnerable, to be open, and to tell everybody the truth, to go back to Venezuela and start from there, from my home country. So I got all my things. I went back home. I tell all my family what has happened and what has happened for the last three years. All the situation I found myself in, all the problems I have in business, losing everything. And obviously, like, I got myself blocked because I was supposed to be the one helping them, considering the situation in Venezuela, obviously. Everybody's having a really hard time. They find it hard to find food or anything. So I was ashamed. I felt like I wasn't a man. I wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough. I put myself in this situation where I couldn't even help my family. So I decided to come out of all this auto torture thinking, let's say, and I just went back to Venezuela. I opened a business. A month after being there, I already have a company registered. We were making some food in the food area. We were making some products, and I was working and doing more money than I've ever made in Italy after just a couple of months. And not only that, I was helping my family. I was creating products to sell to the community. It was an amazing time, and it was so quick. Just changing my mindset, just changed like everything. And I was trying to help people there to believe and to understand that it is not that bad. That we still doesn't matter what is the situation. We can change things. We can make things happen. We have the power to decide how things are going to end. Let's say. It was going great. I brought Victoria and Victor with me. We have a lovely time in Venezuela. I asked Victoria to marry me there. She said yes, obviously. We have a good time. We have a great time. We spent 3 months there. Obviously things were not perfect between Victoria and me. There were many changes. Obviously, it's not easy when someone changes. I now see even more clear, especially when you're with someone. I became a different person. I was not Raphael anymore. Even I knew Jesus. So being a new person for Victoria was strange. Even she was very happy for me. She was very happy that finally I was making things happen, and I wasn't just waiting. But it was hard. Let's say I understand her. After 3 months, she left back to Italy to sort out her papers and everything to get married. So she came back, but after a week, she texted me, she wrote me. She said she wasn't going to come back to Venezuela. She thought about it and she didn't want to marry anymore. That she was going to stay in Italy with my son. And that was it. She didn't answer. It was a very hard moment. I have the shoes now. I talk about it. It was really painful. Because I was doing great. I was finally sorting things out. I was finally having success, let's say, on business. I was helping my family. I was helping the people I grew up with. I was helping my community. I was helping my friend, creating jobs. I wanted to have my family there with me. I wanted to share that with them. It was really a slap in the face for me when she said this, and I didn't know why. I couldn't understand it, but I thought about it for a couple of hours, and I knew I have to go back to Italy, even if it's the same country where I have been an illegal immigrant for the last 3 years, where they didn't reject every application of work permit made since then. I didn't know how, but I knew I have to go back. So I talked to my partner in Venezuela and just told him that I was sorry, but I have to leave. I left him the full responsibility of the company. And after a week, I was already in Italy.
It's just
I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how.
the power of the context. It's This is the second time you've told me this story, but I still have goosebumps in my body just at the power of the context, because so often, as I said earlier on in the conversation, as guys, David Aida would say, like the way of the superior man. Men, we tend to have, for whatever evolutionary, biological, psychological, social conditioning, whatever the reasons, there's many different theories as to why, but we have this setting within us that predominantly is we're connected with the mission. If we're happy on the mission, the outward mission, and everything that you were saying there, you were happy with the outward mission. I mean, you were making money, you had a business, you were, you were supporting your family, you were supporting friends, you were, giving, creating employment. The outward mission, you were at the top level, and it was only getting better, better, better. What was it that allowed you as a man, Jesus, to be able to be so high flying in your outward mission, but still ground down and actually go, no, hold on, family, my queen, my son, they're front and foremost, in such a radical way? Because we're talking about literally moving back, as you said, to a country that the previous experiences were not good. She's after telling you she doesn't want to marry you. It was really, really hard. What happened in your core to allow you make that decision in just a few hours?
Yeah, I think I think it was a mindset that I have adopted. I have to ask myself a question, and if the answer is the question was easy: do I want to make this without Victoria and Victor on my side? And if the answer is clear, and obviously it's no, I don't want to. I want them to be with me, and I want to be with them. Doesn't matter where, and I will be there. And especially, obviously, I thought about it, but what I did was a quick thinking, where obviously I have no intentions of not being with Victoria and not seeing Victor grow up, because that for me is more important than anything else, and whatever any other thing I can create it anywhere. And I'm sure I can do whatever I want to do in Venezuela. I can do it anywhere else in the world, doesn't matter where. But being with Victor, seeing him growing up, is something I don't want to miss in this world for nothing else. Being with Victoria, the person I love, the person who I want to build and build our love family, is something I don't want to miss. And I will fight for this. Doesn't matter what's going on. I know anything could be going on behind the scenes. She doesn't want to talk to me anymore. She just refused to marry me. But doesn't mean I cannot change the situation. Mm-hmm. So I just say, okay, let's do what do I have to do? Obviously, I have to give up the things here in Venezuela. I have to leave my family again, and let's go back for my family and to fight for my family, because it's time I do it now for them too. So it was simple, let's say, having obviously Victor is a really good motivation help, because you might know, having a child obviously just give you this superpower.
Yeah, definitely. I as you're telling me the story again, and like as you said, like you could feel the emotion bubbling up in you. I'm feeling the emotion bubbling up in me, because in my own unique autobiographical part of my life, but there was a moment in my life when Matilde, powerfully as coming into her queen power, she gave me a marital ultimatum, which was, Mark, look, I love you, but this can't go on. Like at that time, I had a whole big mixed bag of anxiety, sort of depression, self-harm. There was like suicidal thoughts going on. I was living in Italy. I was away from home, so it was sort of like a switch side. Wasn't really speaking Italian at the time, no friends. And actually part of that story was, that shame. I was disconnecting from friends at home. So I found myself in that situation, but I ended up, I sort of, I lashed out at Matilda. I kicked her in the shin one day, and like she was bottle feeding Anya. Anya was just 3 months old, and it was completely out of character. But it was just so much pressure building up within me. So in that moment, it was a do or die. When you say that word, the decision, to make a decision, the love was there. We had such an incredible connection. There was a lot of shit going on external to us that we needed to take care of, that was getting in the way of us connecting. But yeah, just that feeling of a child growing up, Anya growing up without me around, and indeed, like, just Matilda, like her growing old with Anya, and just that not being a part of my life. I remember at that point just making that decision myself. It's like, I will do I will do whatever is necessary to get myself happy. Remember at that time, it was like sort of trying to get everybody else happy. And at that point, that was the turning point in my life. It was like, get yourself happy
Yeah.
and
Wow.
and do everything else to get your family happy too. So there was the two things, but there was that foundation. So I'm so deeply resonant with the emotional grounding that you could make that decision. So Jesus, you make that decision. You cut links again powerfully with family, with friends, with the high flying business, and you fly back to Italy. What awaited you in Italy when you got back?
Yeah, I fly back to Italy. It was all our uncertainty. Obviously, I didn't know even if I was going to have problem getting back in Italy just as a tourist. If I could get in, I was all the way back was a really stressful moment. But I was so sure of myself now, of my capabilities, of my powers. Let's say. I came back to Victoria. She was very surprised. Obviously, she didn't expect to see me moving so fast and going back to Italy. And I told her I was back here to stay, and I was going to do whatever it was necessary to make our relationship work and our family work. To
Can I?
make us.
Excuse me, sorry. I want to clarify, because for the drama of this story, you might be asking, like, did Victoria know you were going back, or did you just turn up on the doorstep?
No, no, she knew I was going back. I told her.
Okay.
She didn't want to talk to me. No, no,
When
that
did
was
you
happening. No,
when did
she didn't want to talk to me after that. But I say, okay, I don't know what's going on. I knew, obviously, I have to sacrifice some time with her. I didn't get her as she saw me changing. Obviously, it reflects on the other person, and might not make the other person feel comfortable, make the other person feel on a new, let's say, area that they don't know. So he just pushed her away from me. Okay, it has to happen. I knew it was a risk I have to pay. So she didn't want to answer, but I said, look, I'm going back to Italy on Friday. So I hope you want to talk to me and we can have a chat. And she was actually very true. She didn't believe it was true at first, but she was really happy to see me back. I have to be honest. We have a really good chat together. It was very persuasive. Uh, she let's say accept me coming back there, and I say I know we might have problems. I know things that we need to fix. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but we're in a process of becoming better. I hope you want to join me in this process. Let's do whatever it takes. I'm here to stay. If you want to stay here and live here, okay. I'm gonna stay here with you and Victor. We'll do whatever it takes to stay here. Incredibly, her mom helped us to get the documents. Incredibly, after 1 month, I already have the work permit again. It was all about mindset, I can say now, because it's all your attitude, your mindset, and the confidence that you have in that things are going to happen, and on your capability of making things happen. Incredibly, after 1 month, I have the work permit again. I didn't have any more problems. We moved 1 month after I started working as a head chef in one of the biggest restaurants here, hotel restaurants here in Brescia. After 1 month, we moved to our new house, and things were again going say really excited. Things were going pretty well. Everything we were sorting out pretty much everything. But there was always something behind that I could feel, obviously. I'm not saying that I could read people's minds, but I have a really good reading sensation. And obviously it's very important in a relationship to communicate, to be honest, to be open, to be sincere. When we were having all coming together, it was really, really short term, where many things were happening and we're really having a good time. I find out Victoria was actually cheating on me for all this time. So it was like a really slap in the face again. But this time, I say honestly, it doesn't matter all the things that have happened to me till now, like not being an illegal immigrant, not having nobody giving me a work, no having to be far from Victor and Victoria. This one hit me stronger than everything else. It was just like a train just going. Because it was still well after I arrived, after everything, it was still like happening. I found out this and it just hit me, but this time I didn't hesitate. I knew I have the power to make a decision, and I decided I was going to do whatever it takes to get Victoria's love back, to make these things work. Doesn't matter everything that happened or that has happened, and I was going to find a way to sort this out too. So it hit me well. I have to admit, I might have cried for a day or half a day, but after that, I just pulled myself up, and I say, okay, this happened. If I'm honest, and after researching a lot about this, is something that is pretty common, but I'm not interested in that. My only interest is in finding out how we can sort this, and how we can use this situation to help us actually create a better relationship, a relationship that actually grows and become the best relationship we could ever have dreamed of.
What comes to my mind? What comes to my mind is, I think it's Jason Selk. He's like one of the foremost mental resilience coaches on the planet, and he has this thing that, if I'm quoting to the right, attributing it to the right guy, it's RSF, relentless solution focus. Like that's what he talks about his athletes, the top line, guys in companies. But You know, it's one thing to do it on a sports field. It's one thing to do it in your personal training in the gym. It's one thing to do it, you know, within on the battleground, like in the corporate world. But I mean, you're talking about the love of your life, the mother of your son, and you managed to, if we use those wordings, to just snap into relentless solution focus. Is this a cultural thing? Is there some super heroic, powerful culture in Venezuela where you just fucking you just like are like is there a culture of heroes in Venezuela, or like what does the average man in Venezuela do if this happens?
I mean, that is less than 1%. I don't think any Venezuelan man would ever accept this. And we're obviously very mentally very close, especially obviously a woman can't do this to a man in Venezuela. There's no way a woman, but I was lucky. I have my mindset has changed. I wasn't just Venezuelan anymore. I'm a guy from the world, and I have to take responsibility again. If that was the choice, I have to be current with my with what I believe and with my choices. And if I choose to take responsibility for all my actions again, I say, okay, there's no point I cry here or I get mad for okay, you can do it for a couple of hours, but then what is important is how you react to this, and doesn't matter how hard is the situation. The important thing is my reaction. It's not becoming not letting the situation just as I was used before, just letting me being pushed by the situation, but reacting and taking responsibility for that. And I have to take responsibility that if that happened, it happened for a reason, and it happened because I might have not been the best partner. It happened because I might have made some mistakes too. So I want to learn from that. I want to see how the situation can help me to become a better partner, a better person, a better lover. So obviously it's not that easy. It's not that instant. And I might have said like this now, but I have to put my ego on the side, because what happened is that relationship is the thing, I think, one of the things in the world that give us more pleasure, love and happiness, but one of the things that cause more pain on us too. So you have to really master that. I think if there is something that we can master, is relationship, and we don't do it. When something like this happen, we just quit. We say okay, and it's like a excuse to feel right too, and not take the responsibility for that situation. So I have to be honest with myself and say, okay, I have to take responsibility of this too. If this happened, obviously, it's not only Victoria's fault. It's not an excuse to quit. And I have to put on the side my ego as a man, of my ego, the securities that obviously a relationship and a woman give to a man to make her feel my king. I own you, and I'm the only one that can touch you. I know this obviously deeper stuff that come into this argument, especially for a man, because obviously a woman give you a lot of securities, and especially for your ego. So I have to put all this on the side, and come out, let's say, as a man, free of this, and see how I could sort out this situation and use it in the best possible way.
And how did Victoria react to this? Because I'm sort of jumping into her mind. I mean, you're after finding out, you're after coming home from Venezuela, you turn up as the hero on the doorstep, you powerfully stand up in a way, and then, she's found out that she's been cheating. She's had this sort of a double life going on, but then she sees your response. You're actually taking full responsibility. How is that for Victoria?
Oh, I didn't hear you last part. How?
How is that for Victoria? Just seeing what she had been doing on the side, behind the scenes, without you knowing. You find out she's cheating, but
It
you're
was
actually turning up one more time, sort of in your full king, your full heroic power, taking responsibility. How was that experience for
it
Victoria?
was I think for Victoria it was very hard. It's not easy to when people find out that you have been let's say doing something wrong, or in a situation like this. Obviously you feel really you want to put your head into the ground and not come back anymore. You don't know how to react, you don't know how to act. That for me was after, let's say, I found out. It was obviously uh, a critical situation there. But I realized that she was really ashamed of herself. She didn't know how to react. So I need she just uh, she just could think about quitting or giving up. She couldn't imagine how could I ever forgive her for doing something like this. So I have to actually go into this part of trying to make her believe and understand that it happens, and it depends on us now how we can make it work. Um, let's say it wasn't easy because at first, for her to believe that I can forgive her, she has to believe she can forgive something like this to myself or to someone else. And in her mind is, for her, it's not possible. She wouldn't forgive something like this. So she wouldn't accept first I could forgive her. We have to start this really good work. So it took me into this role of learning and reading and trying to find out everything I could about relationships and how to make them work and improve them. So I start this other mission of myself where I start learning, studying with different coaching, making some courses with Tony Robbins on the relationship, and how to improve them, how to make them work. It is fascinating, and it really helped me and helped us to go through this situation in the best possible way. Obviously, for Victoria, it took her, let's say, a chance too. She has to evolve herself too, and it was a long road. It wasn't easy. I won't say it was like a 1 week thing. It was like a year or a year and a half process where we start very slowly working on ourselves, on our relationship, on things we could improve. And she start more and more adopting herself this mindset, this idea that everything depends on us and we have the responsibility on how to react and how to on what to decide we want to happen. And she started, let's say, coming closer and closer to what my my mindset or to what I believe. Accepting that everything happened for us, and if that happened, it was for us and for her, even if it's not that it's not that easy to accept something like this and say, okay, I understand you shit on me, but I believe it happened for us to become better and to improve. But she accept thinking too, and we use it in the best possible way.
The thing that jumps out for me, Jesus, and it's like is, as I know in my own relationship with Matilda, the more work I was doing on myself and new concepts, new ideas, I know, and I put my hand up completely on this. Like for the first, I don't know, I'd say about 7 years of our relationship, we'd been through tough times. You know, that marital ultimatum. I shifted my ass into gear, and that's when I exploded. Like what you were saying, finding out more about relationships, about life, how I was relating to it. But the big trap door, the big pothole in front of me that I can see now jumping into was, as I was learning stuff, it's so much easier to see where the person in front of you isn't stepping up. You know these ideas, you hear these, but you see it in the person in front of you. And I remember seeing so much in Matilda, and I was projecting. It was almost like trying to fix her. It was like, you know, oh, well, you could do this, or you could do that, and you should do that, and you should stop doing this. And from a great loving intention, but I remember that just didn't work. It was not inspirational for anything. And I just know now, hearing your words, you know, there's a difference between trying to fix somebody to resolve your own difficulty that you're having internally, and what you have clearly done, which is when you step into that 100% radical responsibility of your life, your inner state of being, your love, your physical body, your future, you know, in that level of absolute decisiveness, that's inspiration. And that allows Victoria, allows anybody to actually rise up. There's only way to rise is up in vibration, not how
Yeah, no,
did you have moments that you found that you were projecting at any point, or how did you manage to just be so in that inspirational role?
As you just said, I have exactly that moment. Time after we found out everything, we decided we wanted to go forward. Let's say start from zero. I saw myself, because obviously I was reading too much. I was just like every day, 24 hours a day, listening to podcasts, videos. I wanted to have all the information I could in this world, put inside my mind. I got a bit too. It was a bit too much, and I could reflect on Victoria, and we have a big breakdown after let's say 6 months to 9 months that we were trying again, because she's the best reflection of me that I could have. And that is for every partner. The person we are in is our best reflection. And if you want to improve something, and if there's something you might have to put some work in, just look at your partner, see what you don't like about it, what would you like to criticize, what you like to point the finger on, and then you have to reflect back on you and say, okay, why do I need to work on this? Why? And I was really heavy on her after this happened, because I realized I wanted to teach her. I wanted to be her. I wanted her to absorb all this information and understand how we could improve, but it was in an aggressive way. And we have a breakdown where she actually she didn't feel free to move or to do anything. She didn't know how to react anymore. And I say, okay, it's time. Why this situation is happening again? I have to stop for a second and see why I was doing wrong. Obviously, I was doing something wrong there, and I have to stop and understand that I was going to make her improve and get to absorb everything that, let's say, I knew I was reading, or I was actually trying to take into me to actually make us better. And I realized the only way I could actually make her feel free to learn, to improve, was actually letting her be, letting her go in a way, not pushing her every day, not trying to push her to listen to this instead of listening to that, not trying to change her way of thinking, but just leading by example, let's say, and trying to give her my best. So I make a decision again, and I decide I want to be with you. Doesn't matter what happened. I want to love you. I want to create a future that I always have dreamed with you and our son and our family. So I have to accept and love you as you are, and I will. And that's all I can do. Everything else, obviously, I have to again put my ego on the side, because what happened there was my ego again trying to come up and take control of the situation. So I need to realize, like, we can't control the situations. We can't control everything that happens outside us. We can't control the other person. We can't control anybody in this world. The only person you can control is yourself. And the only thing you can do is try to give everybody else what you want, then to give back to you. So the only thing I could give to her was love and acceptance and respect and trust, and hoping that she was going to, not hoping, but just give it, man. Because if you don't, if you're gonna be true to yourself, you have to do this. You know, life is about giving. So when you give, you really feel the difference. And it was incredibly, I mean, I have the shield, because I saw Victoria like coming out as a butterfly, and she herself just started flying higher than I ever saw her flying before. Wow. Without me forcing her, without me being there. And at some point, reflecting, trying to take responsibility her for the situation, and it was amazing. It was amazing because it just happened. It was like a flower opening up. It was like, I mean, it was everything I have asked for. It happens the time I stop trying to make that happen.
My personal reflections on this is I remember that exact sort of phase with all these projected ideas that I thought Matilda could do, and you should do this, do that. And then I read David Aida's book, the Way of the Superior Man. And Aida put it, he was like, guys, you got to realize, you grow by challenge. You know, like a bunch of guys together, it's like, you know, man, come on, you know, get down, do more push-ups, get down, train harder, like just get the fuck on with it. But we respond to that. It's that like inner warrior, the inner masculine warrior. It's like, okay, like within reason. Okay, I still sort of paraphrase that, just like a ground of loving support is also needed. I think it's a bit more macho. But in general, we can sort of take that punch in the face and sort of get on with it, and we get more resilient. But then Daida sort of produced this thing. Women do not grow by challenge, direct challenge. They grow by praise. So praise her. Just start praising her. Praise her and love her for who she is. Praise her and love her. I remember my mind is like, but she's fucking doing this. I can't praise that shit. I like, oh, what? I like, dude, like, I got a challenger on this. But then there was that moment of humility when sort of egg in the egoic face. I was like, yeah, Mark, you can like really ground down in that argument. You can sort of passionately go, but I have to show her out. I have to like tell her about this. I have to challenge her in this aspect. Is that working for you, Mark? You know, how's that working out, Mark? And like the immediate answer is
Exactly. That is the question.
like dog shit. You know, how I was turning up, Matilda was not liking it. So it was like, Mark, you know, you can go out there, you can write a book about it, but it just doesn't work. And I love the effortlessness of what you were talking. I'm like, I've been obsessing on Wu Wei, effortless action recently. And it just seems like, as you described there, it's like when you stop trying, it emerged seamlessly.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Exactly this.
So, chronologically,
It was exactly that.
when you
No,
talk
I
about,
read.
oh, go on.
No, I have. I remember. I read this story of this Argentinian writer. I don't remember the name of the book, where he was telling about this story of a guy in long time ago that he wanted to buy the daughter of this man to get to marry her. He said, "I offer you 1,000,000 coins for your daughter." He said, "Oh, for my youngest daughter, the most beautiful one." I said, "No, no, no. I want your oldest daughter." The dad of the daughter couldn't believe it because the daughter, she was the ugliest one according to her family. She didn't know how to read. She couldn't walk properly, and the father was, he couldn't believe the guy offering her 1,000,000. He was like, she's value only 5 coins. What are you offering me? Why are you offering me 1,000,000? And the guy said, because for me, her value, she hasn't got a value, and I want to give you to her everything I have. And the father took the money, and the guy just took the girl, and he treated her like she was a queen. She gave her everything he has. And a few years after, the family came by to their house, and they saw this beautiful, amazing woman, and nobody recognized her. And one friend that saw her at the beginnings asked the guy, "But who is that woman?" "Oh, it's the girl married years ago on the old farmer." "Are you kidding me? She's amazing. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's the most amazing woman I've ever seen. What have you done to her?" I said, "Nothing. The only thing I've done since I saw her for the very first time is just give her everything I can and all the love that I have. And that's it. There you go." And I remember I was like, okay, this is a lesson here. I have just to give her everything I have, all the love that I have, and stop trying to change her, stop trying to force things, and stop trying to make her become something that she's not. Just love her, man. Just love her, man. Just love her, man. Reminding me that every day. And for me, it happens the same way. She just came up as the most beautiful and amazing woman I've ever seen.
Wow. You've obviously earned your qualification. I don't think you have a certificate on the wall, but what I love, you know, any guys that I talk about as coaches, I know myself, you know, I'm doing a coaching course now. There's a certificate at the end. I'm not doing it for the certificate because it's not the certificate. The certificate isn't worth jack shit. And like, there's a lot of coaches, a lot of people out there that are certified, but like,
Yeah.
they have information in their head, but it's just that embodiment of those concepts. It's the living that every single cell in your body actually gets that you're not going to just be telling somebody, oh, this is an idea, this is a concept. No, this is the embodiment. And when I hear you speak, it just rattles me to my core. And guys listening in, just knowing that story, I think we all can just try and put ourselves into so many of those phases, of and how you've stepped up, and just showing that the limitless possibility that we have when you take that, like that word that you're saying again and again, decision. You just decide. You get that
Yeah,
clarity.
I know it might sound repetitive,
Well, it's the
but it's so this,
repetition
man. It's
is
simple.
is
You don't have
mastery.
to really invent anything. Life is simple. But obviously, you have to take responsibility. You have to be true to yourself, and you have to learn when it's your ego that is trying to take control of the situation, and when you're trying to take control of other people and of the situation, and you know that it's not yourself, not your real self, not your best self actually taking that decision. So you have to take that, and you have to become conscious of that. It's becoming conscious in every way. As for me, it's for the nutrition part. You have to become conscious of what you eat, because it's very important. You have to become conscious of what you think, of what you believe, and it's all this together is really important for you and for all of us to become the best version of ourselves.
Wonderful. Jesus, part of Newer Kings, the podcast, part of the King archetype is bringing out that, the visionary in us, is that unlimited potentiality of what we can create and manifest in the world to be of benefit to ourselves, our family, our community, and the life on earth as a whole. You've already touched on it part just at the beginning, which your business, but if you go crazy, but crazy in the wonderful sense, crazy in the ego to decide, and that absolute potentiality that you have as a man, within 10 years, where can Jesus Moncada, where can you be? What movement? Where will your movement of food be? Where will your work with relationships be? I'm just inviting you to go to that unlimited potentiality and see, best case scenario, 10 years time, what have you manifested in life?
Oh man, I want to touch and create a movement that touched millions of people. I'm talking about millions. I hope as much as I can. And as I told you, I wish I have this 10 millions mission where I can change and improve and help people to go through the pain that a relationship can cause you, and understand that it depends always on you and on the decisions that you take, and depends on taking responsibility. I want people to stop thinking that because someone cheated on you or because something wrong happened, you have to quit and you have to just turn your back on that person, on that relationship, without really taking full responsibility and advantage of that situation, because that situation is gold for you, man. It's just there for you to help you improve and become a better person. And I want people to understand that if this happens, it's just an opportunity for them to grow, for them to become better. The only thing that you have to do is choose always love, man. Choose love, doesn't matter what, and let the pain, let the bad situations, let everything else be the fuel and the energy that make you grow. That's it.
Perfect. Jesus, guys listening in, any guys really feeling deeply inspired, I think every single guy, any guy listening into this will be deeply inspired in so many different levels. Where can guys find you online, wanting to track you down, sir?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, JR Moncada. You can go to my website Evolve too if you want to see some healthy menu. Eatvolve.it. That's pretty much it.
Wonderful. Jesus, just like to take this opportunity on behalf of myself, but also every single guy that's going to be listening to this, like in the upcoming days, weeks, and indeed years to come. Thank you so much for just shining so vulnerably and completely your heart and soul and journey and your learnings for us all today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for this opportunity to open up and to speak with you. It's really inspired for me to have this kind of conversation. Thank you very much, man.
Beautiful. Thank you. Guys, how to encapsulate it. This is my challenge. The challenge of my day and my week is when at the end of these interviews, these podcasts, is to encapsulate. It's impossible, but I'll try and do it anyway. Like, I mean, what comes up for me is just the embodiment, Jesus, this radical embodiment of what it means to be decisive. I've found in my own life, and I see with so many guys, like we think we're making decisions when we're actually not. That level of decisiveness, it's taking 100% extreme responsibility for your life now. You know, just Jesus, what like he has embodied and taught us and opened up to us with his deep insights. When you take 100% responsibility for whatever is in your life right now, that is the magic, the alchemy that we have. That magical power to transform anything on the outside comes from taking 100% responsibility on the inside. I think it's just this core embodiment of what Jesus, his message to the world is like, and like coming from love. And that's that love of yourself. If you're loving yourself, you take 100% responsibility, because why the fuck would you suffer out the consequences of like just blaming somebody else? You can blame the world, you can blame your partner, you can blame the politicians, you can blame life. But ultimately, this shining example that Jesus' story just screams to that king archetype in us all is when you take 100% responsibility, magic happens. Magic happens for you, it happens for your family, it happens for your community, it happens for every single being on planet Earth, and life gets better. And that's why we're here. That's why we're having these conversations. Here's to you taking 100% responsibility for your personal revolution, your local revolution, and who the hell knows, your global revolution too. Guys, have a beautiful day. Thank you very much for listening in. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.